Fictional diagnosis: the soloist with the disorder of schizophrenia. In The Soloist by Joe Wright, Robert Downey Jr. portrays a Los Angeles Times columnist that goes by the name of Steve Lopez. The movie begins at a period in Mr. Lopez's career in which he is in search of a compelling article to publish for his weekly column. As he goes on throughout his day seeking for a captivating topic, Lopez stumbles upon an intriguing homeless man named Nathaniel Anthony Ayers, Jr., who Lopez decides will become the topic of his next column. As Steve conversated with Nathaniel and a few people associated with him, he understands that this now homeless Juilliard dropout, who shows a clear cognitive impairment, is a perfect subject for his column. Throughout the film, Nathaniel portrays the lifestyle of an individual diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and the process Steve goes through to help with the disease. In this movie, Nathaniel Anthony Ayers Jr. is shown to have a cognitive disability, also known as paranoid schizophrenia, which causes him to be mistrusting around others, hear voices in his head, and have severe anxiety from fixed ideas and delusions, causing an inability to tell what is real and what is not. As the movie goes on, Steve attempts to help Nathaniel by bringing him into the LAMP community in hopes of helping him with self-sufficiency. If Nathaniel were to go to a therapist, he would be diagnosed with schizophrenia because of his auditory hallucination symptoms that are common with that disease. With mental illness becoming a serious problem throughout the world, I believe that this disorder is diagnosed depending on the perception of the diagnosed and the therapist. In the U.S., societal norms have deemed the perception of disabled individuals being interesting enough to write an article over okay, and that those with disabilities are of lower status than those without. In our culture, the stigma that those with schizophrenia are a danger to society is very common because of the sudden outbursts of anger that may occur or the voices in their head that could possibly lead them to extreme cases like murder. The first instance in the movie that displays symptoms of schizophrenia would be the disorganized speech, which is the trouble that an individual has with concentrating and maintaining a train of thought, affecting the way that they speak. As Nathaniel talks to Steve, he has very loose associations and tends to quickly shift from topic to topic as he speaks. As he gets older, he begins to hear voices in his head that he believes are from an outside source but only exist in his mind, also known as an auditory hallucination. As Nathaniel is practicing with the Juilliard Orchestra, he begins to hear voices in his head that distract him from focusing on playing the piece of music. Negative symptoms such as lack of interest or speech abnormalities weren't a major topic because Nathaniel was able to show interest and motivation towards music and was able to conversate normally when talking to Steve. For the proposed treatment plan, I would recommend that he go to a doctor and find a medication that could suppress the auditory hallucinations and bring the brain back to a normal state. After finding the right medication, I would suggest a form of therapy that could rebuild his thought patterns and help him cope with the anxiety he has towards the paranoia and be able to know how to identify early warning signs that could help result in potential sudden outbursts. With paranoid schizophrenia, mistrust towards others is very common and could hinder Nathaniel's chances of receiving proper therapy. I believe that this is an accurate portrayal of the disorder because it covers the requirements of schizophrenics without over-exaggerating it. It shows how the abnormal behaviors that begin at birth and the common troubles such as auditory hallucinations that Nathaniel and all schizophrenics experience as they get older. It also is relevant to the culture that many people with this disorder are surrounded by. In this movie, the character grows up in standard household conditions with common factors such as crime-filled neighborhoods and negative influences surrounding them. The film is able to influence our own understanding of these disorders because of the viewpoints portrayed within the movie. It is able to connect with the audience and teach them through Steve and the others that influence Nathaniel in some way by showing how factors like those who are trying to help, those that look down upon it, and those that could care less play a role in the disorder as well as what the person with the disorder is going through.